a formal welcome because we've all been chatting and having our sparkling drink. And who was literally around 30 years ago?
Just about.
Nearly. Wow. I mean, I didn't think it was 30 years later, but here we are, 30 years later. And so, just in advance of us coming together and really toasting the achievement of what the Society, has achieved in 30 years in still being here, and being that beacon, that focal point of providing a message about Feng Shui, professionalism. And there's a lot of people who've, been through and left, and they're not in Feng Shui anymore, or they are, but they don't actually need to be a member of the network, the Society. So here we are, with the membership we have, 30 years down the line, November 1930. 1930. Poor old memory. So I literally went through the loft looking for a few pictures. This one, and this is a key moment really, because it was September 1992 that I had I'd been unwell. And I looked in my cupboard and I found a press cutting actually from Derek Walters. I didn't have press cuttings, I have many now, but at the time I kept this. It was from You magazine, and it was Derek Walters, if you remember Derek Walters. Mm-hmm. And it was about Feng Shui. Just something resonated. I discovered it in my cupboard, and then I must have done some kind of search which would not have been on the internet. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I searched for. I came across the Community Health Foundation doing an introduction to Feng Shui, or at the time, because it was William Spear, intuitive Feng Shui, I think. But anyways, an introduction to Feng Shui on a Friday night macrobiotic dinner at the Community Health Foundation in Old Street, where Simon Brown worked and had invited William Spear. And I found my way there into that room, excited at the Friday night, and over the weekend, something lit up in me, having just reached out, found this press cutting, just found myself in this room. Something lit up in me, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. Maybe I can change my life, which needed changing at the time, by doing this. So when he said I'm available for consultations, I was the first one there. I want two. I want one in my home I've just moved into, and I want one in my office, which I was moving into. So that's me and him. And I had a PR company at the time, and I don't know where it is now, but anyway, I got PR week, marketing week. They used this photograph, PR person gets Feng Shui person in. So that was in September, and then he must have done another course, because when it came to a year later, here we go. Oh, this is my house, and he came into the house. That's a photograph I think that was taken from when the Observer magazine did something. And look at those lights, the beautiful black thin lights. And he said, well, they're going to have to go. I've just put them up. So took those down and I got the round bowl shape, which is a complete opposite shape. So that was the consultation with Bill. I stayed interested, and then it was a year later when it was Jan and I sitting around my dining table at in Bentinck News, where my house was. Mark Beekhouse was in that early group. Graham Gunn. I'm trying to think of all the names of the people, but we'd done 2 or 3 courses with William Spear, and there was a buzz, there was a feeling that we want more, rather than, he's based in Connecticut, so he's not exactly available round the corner, and we wanted more of him, we wanted to find out more. So that was the beginning of the Society, which I chaired for the first year. And then, it's not exactly a blur, but September 1994. So I set up the London Personal Development Centre. So I was there at the beginning of the Feng Shui story, and I'll share with you some of those aspects of that. But I don't have, of course, it's not a digital era. I can't go back to my computer and get photographs, so I don't have them. So I scanned a few of these in, but I have very few photographs. Memories, but anyway, I did this. I wanted to do a personal development centre. It was really key for me. I'd been unwell. Lots of things had helped me, And I thought I wanted to share with people what has helped me transform, what has really helped me. One of the things that was going on in Tony Robbins' course. There were so many things I opened up to, or all new. And we're talking about 1993, 92, 94. It was right at the beginning of really that human potential movement. There was St. James Alternatives Church doing things, but not many places. So anyway, it's an act of madness. I created a personal development centre when the first one had 300 events in, which is crazy. But the most popular one was the Feng Shui. So the Community Health Foundation was shifting. They weren't able to do the courses. And Bill Spear asked me, would I present his courses? All you have to do, Gina, I think he asked me to do his consultations for him, his bookings when he came over. And then next thing, I'm doing the courses because the Community Health Foundation closed for a while. So the Transforming Power in Intuitive Feng Shui was, what Bill was leading at the time. So that was the most popular course. Now, I don't really know Jenny Alexander. She is a mind, body, spirit, health and wellness journalist.
Yes.
And she interviewed me in the Personal Development Centre. And she wrote a great article, which is probably in one of those press cuttings books. And we had 900 phone calls in 5 days following that. So really, from the personal development point of view, from the centre, that's what they wanted. They wanted to change their life by moving the furniture. That's what really what they did. Want to do all the other workshops, really came down to it. So when I met her this summer, I hadn't seen her for probably those 30 years. I said, her article really kicked off something big.
Super. She used to do them every Saturday morning.
Every Saturday there would be something in the Daily Mail.
It was because of her eye start.
Yeah, and she's still in the game. Because she did the Roger Green's Food and Medicine summer retreat, which is what I was on. And so we met up again, all those years later. But she was one of the key figures in those early days in getting the message out, and people were ready to hear. They really were ready to hear. And do you remember Karen Kingston?
Yes.
So I could only find this. I had all of them. They're all in this kind of format. One-day workshops, creating sacred space with Feng Shui. We used to push her book. So the education program that I started was in about 95. Maybe I did something in 94. I can't remember. And then, we had a stand. This possibly is the Mind, Body, Spirit show, but I remember I lined up a whole load of red geraniums there and put some big posters up, and people were just really buzzy. They were interested. It was their first kind of exposure to it. So people would queue up, and I remember I gave when my book came out, which was here, in 98 my book came out, I can't remember, but I gave a talk on the BBC, do you remember the Homefront was an interior design programme. I gave a talk on their stage, and literally about 100 people queuing up for books. I ran on and I get more books down there. Friday afternoon, just drive down with more books. And I used to do monthly open evenings now, and I think about it, at the training school next to my house. The first one or two, people would queue around the block. We'd have 50 people in queue. You don't get that now, but there was a hunger. There was something waking up in those early 90s. So yeah, those are the early standards. And I forgot to bring the actual program, but then I created a professional training program. It's at my friend's house. I left it this morning.
That one. I know where it is.
Yeah. So that's a beach in California where I was sitting thinking about this, and it was such a hard thinking, because at the time, to grow into this position of being a professional Feng Shui practitioner, the only people I knew flew out to China. They flew out to China, worked with a master, or they worked with a master, waited for them to die, and then took over. There really wasn't. There wasn't an education program. And I spoke to a colleague in Austria. We spent a weekend working it through. We both ended up with a headache, so what we come up with didn't work. Anyway, I literally locked myself in a room for a week, and I came out with, must have channeled this, but I came out with this program. And one of the ways I learned was brought the people to London from a quite an eclectic, wide range, because people who were showing up with Feng Shui skills, like Suzanne, were people who had acupuncture. They understood about energy movement, and therefore your home's out of balance. Okay, I'm fixing you, you're going home, and your home is putting out of balance again. So there were various skills that people had that were emerging in this quite a wide field.
Something about that wave. It's
You
just
like
a
the
bit of
wave?
life-giving kind of wave, really. that
Okay.
affects it.
Well, I took that photo.
Yeah,
I took
we
it.
are. You
And
chose the
well,
right
not
one.
with a digital camera.
You chose the
Just
right
snapped them all.
one. You chose the right one. It made me feel inspired.
Great. Well, thank you.
That's in the red at the top.
And that was it. Look, you know, cosmology, astrology, topography, feng shui, relationships, health and healing,
Oh, gosh.
classical, personal development, professional development.
Yeah.
Those are the 9 areas of the training program that we had. And then this is the faculty. We had William Bloom come in, Jan was here, Richard Craigmore, you know him, don't you? Peter Dawkins was there, Dennis Fairchild, I don't know what he did, but he was in there. David Furlong, Alan Bashkadiva, he did something. Robert Green, Suzanne Harper was there, Karen Kingston, Catherine McNaughton, Gemma Massey, Bob Longacre, our dear John Sandiford and our dear Sophie Stainton both passed away, and William Spear, and that was the faculty. And you had to do a certain number of days, so you had a core program you had to do, then you could specialise in other areas that were, you know, of more interest to you. And then, you know, here's the group. We went to Stonehenge, we got access there. There's Richard Craigmore and Peter Dawkins there. And then we had a huge team of volunteers. And there's Amanda sitting at the office desk where the money tree was.
hairdo.
Yeah,
we did.
Richard Craigmore. And then Wendy Collins, remember Wendy?
Yeah.
Wendy was there. I've still got that shelf, it's in my house now with photos. But you know, these leaflets, this is pre-digital, posting stuff out all the time. Nothing was ever digital. Eventually, but I don't know what the digital year was, but anyway, here we go. And then Artie Chin there's Jan, these are all, you know, from outings that we had, missions that we did. And then what we used to do, what I did for 3 or 4 years, was in that program we did a spring school at Gaunt House, which is great for ghost busting, wasn't it? And dowsing, there's a big group there.
Everybody was terrified, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this was the summer school. I had Reading University for 10 days. 3 different courses a day, so 30 courses over the period of the 10 days. So, I mean, you can come and look at later and see if you can see yourself. There are all people that you know. Roger Green. I'm trying to remember names.
There's Robert at the back there.
Yeah, Robert's there.
John
John
Sanders.
Sandiford.
Yeah.
Adele's hiding.
I'm hiding.
Adele's in there.
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah, there's lots of people. Richard, there's Roger Green on the
Carla
left.
Miles.
Yeah.
Carla.
I should be there, but I think I've been cut out.
We would never cut you out. Gemma's there.
Yeah.
And then there's another one here. This is, of course, it's a bit pixelated from going on the big screen, but this was maybe one of the graduation photographs. There's summer school down Shillitown's there.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Christians at the
Christian's there.
Yeah.
Richard Craigmore.
Caroline Heckle.
Caroline Heckle.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's it.
David Furlong.
Thank
David
you.
Furlong.
Yeah.
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 David Furlong, Arnie Chin's there.
Davina is there. Davina.
Yeah.
Sabina, yeah.
And then we had our first graduation students, you know, graduation ceremony, we had that at Reading. And who we've got there? Yeah, some of the teachers and cultural students there, trying to Eileen, Davina. What's her name? Yes, honestly, neither will. And then this is another graduation here. We've got the other Caroline here, Jan's at the back. There you go. You're there. We've not cut you
I
out.
forgot to airbrush it.
We've not cut you out. Vanessa's here.
Nina.
Yes, I remember.
Nina.
Nina. Yeah.
Nina, that's the
Yes.
one I was looking for. Nina.
Catherine Larkin there behind
Yeah.
Nina. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And from Helsinki, Anya.
Anya,
Anya.
Anya Mangs.
Anya.
You went to our house. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it was William Spear who really was, you know, the man who arrived at the moment from America with exciting knowledge and an approach to Feng Shui that came from an inner world of macrobiotics rather than the external world. It was looking from inside out and provided a huge body of knowledge for me to lots of courses. So we've honoured him recently when he reconnected with us and he did a webinar as a fellow of the Feng Shui Society. Simon Brown also is, he was chair a few years ago and he's still around. And he was there right at the beginning. He was, hosting William. He was involved in some of our courses. We've honoured him as a fellow of the society. And I've just got something here. I'm going to do this now while we're talking about this. There's somebody else who was here at the beginning and is here now. And that's Jan.
Wow.
Thank you. Nice Jan.
Thank you.
We'll take an official photo and we'll come out to you.
It's a video.
Yeah, I mean, service beyond, really, and all those 30 are still here and really provide massive continuity, professionalism, and also you have such a different edge, doesn't he? Because of his background in environmental psychology and the mind, you widen Feng Shui and you bring so many things together. And thank you for being a beacon of light right at the heart of the Feng Shui Society.
Can I just take a photograph?
Yeah, but we can do a formal photo. I'll finish. But I wanted to do that now because I was honouring William's longevity and Simon's longevity. Simon's not here. So on the website, we've got, this now is new, and yours will go live in a few minutes, yours. But I didn't want it to go live in case you spotted it. So it'll say William Steer, Simon Brown, Jan Chiswick, and then the other ones there where it's just a name, we'll expand them. But kind of gives it, enhances, our relationship with key people. And then I've just put this up because I'm talking about the zeitgeist of the 90s. I found this in my memory box. Feng Shui, the Asian art, or a penguin arrangement. It's taking the piss, isn't it, really? But that's what was around at the time. Sorry?
I'm thinking of the Tao of them. Sorry.
Yeah, but there were things like that. And I do remember, there were Feng Shui people wrote them into soap operas. They were in The Archers. They were in,
it still is.
Yeah, well, the first time you noticed it in the 90s as the news went out, because, I don't know how many more slides I've got left, okay. I was commissioned to write a book for Wimpy. Everybody in their new home got a book about Feng Shui. So at the time, everybody wanted it. Every publisher wanted a Feng Shui book. And Bill's book sold really well, and then I worked with Conrad. And then, really, although this isn't the Feng Shui Society, this is the Feng Shui of the era, which was in those 3 years, 93 to 96. I used my skills in PR to get the message out into every single magazine and newspaper. Brought some of the cuttings here today. We have got lots of cuttings brought. And there's Jan. We had my mum and dad. We had Morel. We had and. What's her name? What's her name? She was the key person in the network. Joanne, thank you.
Joanne.
Sorry, Joanne. Joanne. So I put the work that I'd done and the press cuttings together. You put it through a radionics machine, if you remember. The messenger had to wait while it was going through this machine. Took it off to the place, and I got selected. And I was the only one that was not an international corporation who won an award that year, which was, for me, that was great. Having done years in Feng Shui, in PR, to win that award, where I was the client in a sense. But just push the word out. I mean, that's how it got out, really. It's just pushing the word out. I think I've got any more slides, no I haven't. Pushing the word out and getting an understanding of the Western application of it. It's a wide subject, it's relevant now, it's modern. Come and join this conversation. So that's what we had. We pushed that out, and got an award for that. And then now we come to here. What is next? What is next in this what is next in Feng Shui? What is next in the society? So that's something I think now that food's coming in. Is it? Yeah, food's here. I think we should talk about. Not necessarily in the next 30 years, but where are we going? Our group of elders in this room, not all old, Alex, young, dear Alex. Where is it going? What is needed? What does society, what does the world need in terms of this? And you know, take away the word Feng Shui, but you know, our relationship with our environment is key. Has anybody watched Blue Zones on Netflix? You watched it. Watch it if you. It's worth paying for a month of Netflix to watch it. It's Dan Boutner or something. Spent 25 years researching the Blue Zones, which is the longest living, most centenarians, Okinawa, Sardinia, Loma Linda. All these places where there are a large number. He goes around the cemetery, 104, 103, 102. They're long living people, and he's been studying what it is about Okinawa and those people that makes them live longer, that's different to the rest of Japan, that's different to the rest of the world. And he's come up with like a template, which he's been using in cities and states in America. So he's reporting on the use of it rather than just putting it out as an idea. And the one thing I just want to highlight from that is, because this is something I'm now personally interested in, brain health and longevity, health span. You know, because I wrote the Healthy Home book, came out in year 2000, I studied it, you know, I moving on from Feng Shui, widening, looking at all the things that creates a healthy home. That book came out, as I say, in 2000, and here we are in 2023. So what's the same, what's different? You know, what's a greater problem, what's a different solution? So I'm kind of, I don't know that I've got it in me to write another book, but I'm kind of looking at the updating of that conversation. And what's interesting that came out of the Blue Zone program was the way they analysed what helps people live longer. And there was a village where, I mean, a lot of them is community, laughter, connection, family, eating together, church, spiritual life, walking and exercising together. Nobody's at the gym. But one of the villages that had a greater number, they have to walk up the hill. They have to walk up the hill to get to the church. They're all walking up the hill, so they're not going out doing their jogging. They walk up the hill and they live longer. So the geography, the topography caused them to live a life where they elevated their health. So that, I think that's something that's, you know, that's such a great conversation now. What it is that we can do with our spaces that will help us live better, live well, live longer. And that's potentially something, you know, for us to explore. But that's the conversation, it's out there. It's out there. So what's our relevance in that? You know, what is it, if we're continuing in this field, how can we engage with that conversation with Feng Shui? How can we bring that in to people who, it's not just about living longer, it's the health span, it's living well. You don't want to live to 80 and then have 10 years of dementia or 5 years in a wheelchair. You want every moment, every year to live well. And then there's a lot of information out there. It's not that it conflicts, but I'm overwhelmed with it. You know, it's like, whoa, what do I do now? And I've also had a lot of equipment in my home, and where am I going to put it? You know, I don't have another room to put all the healing technology I've got. So, you know, how do we adapt our homes?
So my uncle lived to 104.
Yeah.
And he was really good. He was mentally sharper than 99.9% of the population.
Yeah.
He was still walking and he fell over at 104.
Wow. Well, that's
My mother lived to 106.
And
Exactly
they
the
all got
same.
somebody to
You've
beat
got
you.
good genes there.
Feng Shui
Yeah.
now.
Unfortunately, it's not my genetics.
She
no.
lived
Hang on.
I couldn't
Yeah.
not him cool all the time.
on no medication at all.
To get to 106 with no medication. Well, you know,
And no
it's-
one could ever believe that she didn't need to take anything for anything. But she didn't.
yeah, I mean, that is, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is the role of the, if you know my book, The Healthy Home, I have a water barrel, which is different sources of stress coming into the water barrel to lift that water up. We're sick when it gets to the top, so we cut those and we stop the water coming in where we can. And we turn on the tap, we take that level down by doing all the de-stressing things. I think the picture of that has changed slightly. I designed the Healthy Home with no Wi-Fi. It was all plug-in everywhere. Of course, the iPhone comes along, and that has to change, and we have to have Wi-Fi. So, you know, how do we design our homes where we really can live well? You know, what can we do now?
Yeah, that's true. It's a challenge for everyone.
It is a challenge. It's a good thing, you know. And we have in this room, you know, in this grouping, an awareness of space and buildings and how it has an effect on us, and how can we bring the knowledge we have, the knowledge we can bring together that can help people. Yes, Suzanne.
Well, while you were talking, one of the things I was suddenly thinking about, and I've seen some of the architects, young architects, that are very involved in this, is the sea levels are set to rise. I mean, we may not really experience that as much in our lifetimes, but what they're looking at is ways of temporary building which seems to be something that we're going to need more and more. Because it's no good building a city if you've then got it flooded. And what, I can't even remember the name of this young architect, but he's got plans for whole cities that basically float. So the water level rises,
Good idea.
the city, the city rises with it. But if you think of some of the other things that we've got going on now in the world, where you've got war zones, you've got natural disasters, you need instant temporary accommodation to be designed that you can fly in and basically house people immediately.
Yeah, that's definitely a field that William Spear's involved in with his foundation of going in as second response after those traumas. But you know, housing people and housing, is it called Homes for Humanity or Housing for Humanity, where people build accommodations? You know, where we live is fundamental to us. It'll be the most expensive thing we own, and it could have a big role in us being well. And so, how do we guide people in that? You know, what's the conversation? So, Amanda.
Slightly different aspect of that.
Yeah.
Although I'm fascinated by the idea of architecture that's done in such a way that we harness natural resources as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm working with a number of colleagues who've got very good websites in terms of the practical issues of using technology safely, which I can send people links to. And also, I'm just thinking that maybe I should put you in touch with a friend of mine. She's a doctor in environmental medicine. She's writing her second book at the moment. And I'm due to meet with her next week to talk about, protection against electromagnetic radiation and all that kind of stuff. But with your particular knowledge, if you don't want to, you might not be up for writing a book, but you might want to.
I'm definitely interested to talk, because where we were worried about technology, where I was going around measuring fields and teaching people to do that with gadgets in the 1998, oh my God, it's expanded since then. So, you know, we were talking about Wi-Fi, and then you're in the building with about 20 different Wi-Fis. So, and we can't stop it. And the world's getting more and more joined up. So then we have to look, what can I do about my energy field? What can I use? What technologies around that maybe is wearable technology? Clothing I can wear that protect me, things that can adjust my own energy field. So it's exciting as much as, you know, we could worry about it, but I think we're in the game of making lives better, doing the best we can. We see where the world's moving to. We didn't have all that digital when we started. We've got it now. And we're just beginning. We're beginning an era of so much more being wired and joined up and connected.
You don't want to worry about it, you want to do something.
Sorry?
You don't want to worry about it, you just do
That's
something.
right, yeah. And what can we do?
Because it'll stop you worrying.
What can we do? So I'm going to suggest that we have some of the food, and then let's come back and have more of a conversation.